Hey everyone, today I'm going to be comparing the Galaxy S3 versus the iPhone 5 in terms of specifications. As the iPhone 5 was recently released, and of course the first thing that people would like to know is how good is it in comparison to the Samsung S3, if it's not better or worse. So let's get right to it. The size. Of course, we have the iPhone 5 at 123 in comparison to the Samsung 136. That's being of course the height, and then we have 58 to 70. And the only thing that the iPhone 5 is better in, of course, is the actual thickness, that being 7.6 in comparison to 8.6. After that, we do have the weight. We can obviously conclude that since the iPhone is smaller, so obviously the weight is going to be less for the iPhone 5. So it's 112 grams in comparison to the Samsung 3, which is 133. It's still just a little bit. It's like nearly around 21 grams difference. It's substantially minor. Both cases I've been looking at a couple of reviews, and they do say that the Samsung S3 has been nicely balanced out, so really the weight, you don't really feel that it is heavier on some parts of the phone itself. Now let's move on to the display. We have the 4-inch Retina for the iPhone 5, while for the Samsung we have the 4.8-inch Super AMOLED HD Plus, so we do have a substantially bigger screen by 0.8 for the Samsung, and the resolution we do have obviously better for the Samsung, that being 720 by 1280. Of course, the iPhone 5, since it does have that Retina high-end display, we do have 30 ppi, that's pixel density, in comparison to 306, but still the difference is so little, even though we do have, let's say, I don't know, around a 14 ppi difference between the two phones. The difference is really minimal, so you don't really see such a great difference in such a close range, the ppi, in comparison to both the phones. Now for the processors, the iPhone 5 has the A6, while the Samsung has the Exynos 4. And of course, the cores, the iPhone 5 has dual core, while the Samsung has quad core. So obviously the Samsung is substantially better there with a quad core. Now the processor for the iPhone 5 is speculative. It's still at 1.2 gigahertz. That's what they are predicting or expecting that the processor will be, while the Samsung S3 has a 1.4 gigahertz processor. And now for the RAM, we do have 1 GB each. The camera as well, it's the same for both the phones. The only difference is that the Galaxy S3 has a substantially better front cam, being at 1.9 megapixels in comparison to 1.2. The operating systems are the iOS 6 for the iPhone 5. Of course, we have the ice cream sandwich and hopefully the Jelly Bean soon. And regarding the storage units, both the phones have 1632-64 fixed pre-built storage units. The iPhone 5 obviously doesn't support the micro SIM, while the Samsung does. Battery wise, we do have 10 hours of talk time for the Samsung S3, which is 2 hours improvements over the competitor, being the iPhone 5. And of course the price, the Samsung S3 is around $130 to $140 cheaper than the iPhone 5 factory unlocked. Of course these prices are the standard average. Every country has its own different pricing range, but in general you will find the Samsung S3 at least $100 cheaper than the iPhone 5. Well, this is a quick comparison in terms of what I did. Of course, I didn't count points for the actual operating system, and I also didn't count points for the processor, since till now it is speculative, it's not fixed, but people would argue that the iOS may be better than the Samsung S3. I do believe in only one point, that the Apple operating system isn't really virus prone, but of course the Android operating system is substantially more advanced in terms of functionalities and features and updates that it does provide. This is my opinion so far. I do believe that the iPhone is playing catch up with the Android operating system in terms of features and functionalities, because the iPhone 5 of course doesn't allow such you can say changes to their operating system as quickly and as drastically as the Android does. It's substantially more open, the operating system, but then again, this is up for argument and debate, so I left these two out so all of you can debate all you want. Both cases, both the phones are very good phones. Of course, there are substantially more advantages for the Samsung S3. Doesn't mean that the iPhone 5 is a bad phone. It just doesn't have as many advantages as you would like it to have. Still, at the end of the day, the iPhone 5 is a beautiful phone, and it is obviously a nice phone to have. But overall, specification wise, the Samsung S3 does substantially outperform the iPhone 5 in a lot of fields that people are looking for, especially the micro SD card. When you want to transfer your movies or MP3s to your friend's phone or your computer, you can just unplug it. Of course the talk time is nice to have, and mainly the large screen that is really great when you want to watch your movies or play your games with. Also, other features that you have on the Android phone which don't really fall under the specifications is that you can actually change the cases of the actual S3 3 or other Android phones, I do believe some of them you can actually switch the casing. It means the back casing for the Galaxy S3, I can remove it and I can stick another case. That means a different color as well. So I can change the design of the Samsung S3 without the need to buy a completely new phone, while the iPhone 5 or any of the iPhones don't support changing the color of the actual case itself. Also, one of the main advantages that the Android phone, if not all the Android phones have, including the Samsung S3, is that I can actually replace the battery, which is great. If you are talking a lot on the phone or playing a lot with the phone, the battery cycle time does die out, and the battery does sort of die in terms of life expectancy. So it's really great because you can just buy it off a shelf and chuck out your old battery and just plug in a new battery to your phone and have a brand new battery, and your battery lifetime will be back to norm. So this is in general what I think in terms of comparing the two phones' specifications, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your comments down below in terms of what you think, and of course don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and see you guys in another video. Take care.